Morning guys, day 17 here in the shop. Let's get straight to it. Let's get into the spray booth and I'll show you how I tint all that oak pieces so I can get them in for finals in maybe about an hour. Let's go. All right, let me show you how I made this color. I already have it pre-made in this can here, but what we use is just our pre-mix sealer. And on this one, we use this color, it's called just black. You can see here it has a little bit of a purplish kind of black hue to it. And then we did a tiny splash of this extra dark walnut just to add a touch of color, a touch of brown. It neutralizes that purple just a little bit. It's all pre-mixed in here to a certain ratio. I don't have that ratio, it's all just done in my head, and by testing it, we'll lift it up here, see kind of how concentrated it is on a strainer. So we're gonna get this in the paint gun. We'll start shooting one of these panels now to just teach you how I do this. Perfect, we're set up there in the gun. Get our mask on, get the spray booth on, and we'll get going. You're gonna see that I'm gonna shoot this in light passes, and then I'm gonna go out and check it against the sample to make sure that we don't pass. We make sure we get that exact color. The second we go too far, we gotta start over again. And imagine doing that to 50 pieces of furniture. Not fun. So watch what I do. We're going to pick it up. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to go check the color. All right, we have the sample right here. I'm going to kind of set it next to it, kind of check it, and you already see we're still about a shade too light. So we'll go back in, spray another few coats, and build the color back up. Okay, this was the third time I've brought it out now. Ivan just informed me as well, kind of good information. When he went to glaze it the other night after I left, this one piece was substantially lighter than the rest for whatever reason. Hence the reason now it needed a little bit more color. So now we have the sample. We have one of the other pieces that we want to also tie it in because the woods are just slightly different. And I wanted to just make sure that they match. And now once this gets a coat of sealer and dries, we're going to be spot on. So I'll get it back in the booth, then get the next pieces in. Okay, we got the last 4 pieces in here, and these are the doors. So they're double-sided, and they're the most difficult parts to spray out of all of these. So what I do first, I'm gonna lay them down flat, and if you notice at the seams, I actually have them butt straight up together, because if I leave a little bit of a gap, there'll be a slight amount of color that goes in on every pass, but it won't actually hit the entire line, and you're gonna get a shadow or a color difference, and it'll look real bad, real ugly. So what we're gonna do is spray all of the exposed edges at the same time. Then we're gonna let that tack up. We'll hang them up on these racks, the hooks. We can spray the edges that we're not seeing and the backside, so that way that everything matches. Along the way, I'm going to take a step out, check the color with the sample, and make sure that they're matching. These are the largest pieces too, so we really cannot mess this up. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to clean out the gun first. I got a little bit of the sealer left in it. Take my color, get that nice black color in there. Maybe not make a mess on the ground. Put about half a cup in. I don't like to fill it up all the way, just in case it decides to bounce and shoot out. Like it has a small hole here to breathe, it can also shoot out of there. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to grab my rag. Just because I did show you that, you can see the top has a little bit of paint on it. Every 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'll check this and just make sure that it's clean so there's nothing wet here that actually could drip out while we're in the spraying process. job is officially done. Now it's on to actually something that we want to do. We're going to put that guitar pick table together first, and then we're going to put together that antique maple dining table, get that over to the customer in Irvine around 2:30, something like that. So first I'm going to grab this, carefully, of course. And we're going to get this on top of this table. We have a fresh new blanket on there too, so that way we know that's clean. Carefully remove our hangers, and I'll grab the hardware and we'll start putting them on. So they had these redone. I believe they got just replated. A little place called Normandy Refinishers down in Costa Mesa. They do all of the plating and chroming, everything like that for these pieces. So I think they're just straight. And let me see before I kind of jump into all of them. I didn't take these apart, the customer did, so I don't remember which way they went. But they look vertical, yeah. Perfect, because some of these come in angles as well. So if like they are leaning the wrong way, it would look wrong. And I would be, having to take them off again, removing them multiple times. They even had the screws repolished. My guess is these got polished and not plated, because the screws look really nice as well. Okay, not every one of these is easy to put back together. We first started and the screws went in really tight, realizing, okay, we probably have a bunch of sawdust in here, which we did. So I took my drill bit, put a little bit of tape to mark the depth of the screw, so that way we don't drill this through the bottom side right out of the top. So that would ruin it, ruin the piece. So you can see it's just pulling out a little bit of that dust that's in there. I'm putting very little pressure on it. And then what we're going to do too, I'm going to just take off the little bit of a tip that these have with my little cutters, my little dike cutters. Trim them down just to give us something so it doesn't push the, anything down in the hole. This one we already got, yeah. And it actually shortens it by, 1/8 of an inch, which might help out because it was really close to popping through. And I'm going to do something here that we don't normally do. I'm going to actually use the drill to put these screws in to start them. They're really hard to get in. They're really tight. So doing it just by hand, I don't want to break the screw or just strip it out. So I noticed on the other two, we use the impact. Just kind of get it down a little bit. I'm going to go around. With the impact, if these are brass screws, they could heat up a lot easier and break and snap. So you see that I'm just doing a little bit at a time, and then I'm letting them cool off for a second, come back and just give that last little bit. Then we will tighten it by hand. Nick, I don't actually torque it all the way down. You see? It's still sitting up by just a fraction of an inch. Just a little bit more. Then I'll take my screwdriver and give it that last couple turns. It's the safest way to do this. Beautiful. We're going to let this one cool off a little bit more just to make sure I don't snap the screws, because I believe they're solid brass. But what I'm going to do is just take my larger screwdriver, just go around and give everything just that last little bit of turn. With little petite legs like this, you don't want any movement in these legs. Movement means it has more of a possibility that they could snap off one of the days. So I said just take your screwdriver, work carefully, kind of go around. So that one was definitely still loose there. So a little bigger screwdriver actually helps out. Gives a little bit more torque. Beautiful. I'll do one more here. So I think this one's going to need at least 2 turns. Yep. Perfect. Nice and tight. And you can see I think this one's going to take 2 turns as well. Perfect. We're going to flip this bad boy over, blow it off, and it's ready to go. Get all that cleaned off. I'm gonna pick it up carefully so now you don't get hit by these legs. We'll bring it over here. And this one's officially done, ready to go back to its customer. So now you can see how how gorgeous this table is. There's a little bit of dust. Pretty soon it'll be inside of the art gallery down in Laguna Beach. But while you take a look at that, I'm gonna get the next piece over and get it ready to go because we gotta get it loaded up, take it back to the city of Irvine, get it back to the customer. So you've seen how we've done this one too. This is another dining table. We put a lot of energy into, a lot of work, and it's paid off. Like the table looks gorgeous, it's functional, everything looks beautiful. I'm gonna grab the pedestals and we'll get it together. Before I get the hardware back on, I'm going to use this little mystery can. Pretty sure you all know what it is. Yeah, some WD-40. But what we're going to do, finish the rest of this bottle. This one's almost empty. But just spray a little bit on. It's a good protectant and cleaner as well. So it's going to just clean any dirt off that's on them, and then it'll protect it, for the future. Kind of let that sit. Normally customers, want us to polish these, shine them back up. This lady has, the whole set near it. She doesn't want this to all be too much different than what she already owns. So what we're going to do first, take the hardware, cleaning it, just kind of wipe it down. It's also going to help the spring inside of here as well. It'll lubricate that and give us a little bit more play, of functionality. Get that wiped down, and you can see it just cleans off a little bit of the rust, a little bit of the dirt. Take the little latch as well, wipe it down, and then we'll take the 5 or 6 screws that go with that. And I'll let the legs sit a little bit longer. We'll get the latch put on first, and then we'll come back and put the feet on the little pedestals. Now that we got that all clean, I'm going to run this. These are really cool, like a lock system that these antiques have, and it's just like a simple wire with a little hook. But it goes through this guy. I want to figure out where I want. I forget exactly. I think it goes about right here. Let's see, maybe a little bit more. What we'll do first actually is, I think it's this hook right here. So we're going to put these screws back in so we have a little bit of strength kind of against this, a little resistance. So what I'll do, you can see here when I pull this cord, it'll bounce this back and forth. So I said we look like we're at the right spot here, and it's just a twist of a wire, which is a real pain to get on here. Got my pliers as well for wherever I need it. And just be careful not to get poked like I just did. Get these screws tightened first, and let's just check it. Check its functionality. So let's see. There we go. I'm going to give it one more twist. Let's see if I can get it done with the wire, the pliers. So these are a real pain to get undone. There we go. I'm going to kind of squeeze that as well, make it a little bit tighter. Not likely it's ever going to get, it's only going to be used once or twice a year. And then, like I said, this will get ran underneath the legs. And when you open and close it, it will pull open. So right now you can see here where it's pulled apart. When you get really close to it, that little bit, you have to give it a little push. It'll pull and then grab that latch to keep this thing closed up for, for the homeowner. We'll get the pedestals on. Okay, now you can get your first look at the piece. It's up on its legs. What I'm going to do now is that we've already dried off that little bit of WD-40. Get that pressed back on there. And then it has 2 little set nails that we're going to, carefully put in. And tap it in. So make sure to put a little bit of back pressure on it, because if you hit it too hard, it's possible you could break a bond through the leg. Perfect. These are not the best designed little caps I've ever seen. Like I said, they never sit real strong, but this is you know, it's an 80-year-old design. To me now, it's like I would have used a you know, screws or something along those lines, so that way it would hold a lot stronger. But I'll get that one later. I can only feel it. So get these lined up, and we'll get it loaded up and get it over to Irvine. All right, now you can see the table is done. We're going to show you here, because inside the customer's home it's really dark. You're not going to be able to really see the beauty of it in her home. So while you take a look at that, I'm going to grab the leaves and get those taken off and wrapped up, ready to go. Next step will be getting the blanket, and we'll wrap the top up and be on our way. What do you think of this transformation? You know, they come in looking really beat up and old, and they leave looking stunning like this table. So we don't do a lot of antiques anymore. We usually do a lot of the mid-century modern era furniture, designer furniture, but there's a special place of this. You know, this is what I call grandma's furniture, because my grandma had the same exact style of furniture in her home. So I enjoy doing it for, you know, mainly for that reason. First thing, make sure there's nothing on the blanket, so you accidentally damage it. Roll it up once nicely, and then we'll get the other leaves. I said there's a little splinter or something like that. Those two, like I said, these are probably two of the smallest leaves I've seen for a table in a very long time. I think they're only about 8 inches. Normally they're 10 to 12 to 15-inch leaves. You know, I've seen some that are 24 inches wide. Really large set. We have another table going, you know, getting ready to start next week, and I believe it was a 5-leaf table. So there's going to be the tabletop plus 5 leaves plus 2 additional drop leaves. This thing is going to be massive. It's going to take up a lot of space in here. Hence the reason we want to get it started. Get it out. Okay, we just got back from Irvine, delivered that table. Customer was really happy. Didn't even think it would look that good, so she was really satisfied. Right now, it's about 5:30. I'm going to clean up, kind of organize a few things in the shop, clean up some tables. I will be back tomorrow. The customer's coming to pick up all of that oak, that gray piece that we've been working on all week. That's going out, and then we're going to assemble those bookshelves that you also saw me spray last week, or over the last week. Get that knocked out, and then start fresh on Monday. I don't know quite what we're going to do yet, but I'll figure that out tomorrow. Have a good weekend. See you guys.